Welcome back to Follow the Figures. This is Dave. It's Sunday night, July 10th, and we are looking at Emerald Downs Race 10. Now, my hope tonight was to look at multiple races at Emerald, but I had gotten sidetracked and I wasn't able to look as many races. But I'm home in time right now to look at the 10th race, and we have about 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in pieces. I already had the initial scan done. So I'm going to go over what I've seen from my initial scanner, my initial sweep. And then I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to start breaking down the figures off video. And then we'll revisit the grid once the figures are in. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different horses that are making some type of drop in class. This is a $3,500 claiming. B conditions which have not won a race since May 14th. Or which have never won 4 races. And the one horse is one of 2 horses that are not dropping in class. This horse is coming out of the same level, but I did identify him as a pace setter, because if you look back here at 44.2, even though he was out by a neck at the first call, he was still close to the lead, and then at the half he actually had the lead by half a length. So he was actually at 44.2 contested by another horse. And then we have a 45-1 as well, where he was on the lead solo in the first call and second call. The other pace setter I have in here is the 4 horse. Now I tossed the last race from the 4 out from Grants Pass, and the reason I tossed it is simply because it says hand timed, and I've really never seen that before, and I don't even want to play around with that race, especially when I look back a little bit and I see this horse having early interest for the last 4 times around, and he's got a little bit of a class drop here as well. Not by much. It's 5,000 going down to 3,500. But if I go back a little bit deeper here at Turfway, at 6,250, non-conditional at Turfway, he actually grabbed the lead at the half, went on to win the race, and then another one back, he actually had the lead. I don't want to say uncontested, but he had the lead on his own at the first call and the second call, also at 44.2. So I identified this horse as my pace setter too, and because of the slight drop in claiming price, I've identified him as a class drop pace setter as well. And I've mentioned before in previous videos, when I see this combination here, I can't ignore it. No matter what the points tell me, the figures, once I put them on here, I can't ignore this horse at a good price. I'm seeing 20-1 morning line odds right now, and it's obviously because of the last 3 times out, the way it's performed. But I can't ignore it when I see live odds when the time comes. That will determine obviously what I'm gonna, if I'm gonna bet it to win or not. But I identified him as class drop pace setter, and then the last 3 horses are all making some sort of drop in some sort of fashion here. 15,000, even though it was non-winners of 3, it's a significant drop in claiming price. And then we have dropping from open claiming to conditional, and then we also have a horse here dropping from open claimings. I threw the last race out here because it was a turf race, and then we're coming off of dirt at 6,250 conditional. And then one other thing I'm going to make a note of here is this horse is also coming from a 2-turn race to a 1-turn race. So the 7 is actually a class dropper and also a route to sprint horse as well. Okay, so there's my qualitative factors identified. And as I mentioned before, I like to keep an eye. I like to keep these in my peripheral when I'm looking at these figures, because sometimes these here will sway me to not ignore a particular horse that may not show up too well on the grid here. So I'm going to do the figures now, and I'll come back and we'll see where it leaves us. Okay, welcome back. There's a couple things before we start painting our picture here. There's a couple things I want to go over with you guys, looking at this chart and looking at these figures. Mainly the 7 horse. Okay, the 7 horse is morning line 9-5 odds. And when I was doing these figures, I get to very first one I was doing, best on a year. And when I look into best on a year, I see a 68. And when I see the best on the surface now, I move over here and I see a 93. Well, I said, wait a second, 93. Like, especially when I'm looking at all these other figures, and I see the best on this surface, the dirt, is a 93. And then I look over here and I see this horse is 12 years old. All right, and I don't see anything close to a 93, even going back here to October 2020. So I have to look at that as really a stale figure, especially when we're looking at 83 lifetime races, a 12-year-old horse. Whatever, all these other horses are 4 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, and so on. Okay, so what I did was I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and I made I went back here and I used the 68 at 6 furlongs as his updated figure as far as best on the surface. Same thing went for best on at the distance too. Best at today's distance was an 89. Okay, but again, that could have happened anywhere within the last 12 years. So again, that would be an invalid figure for me. When something stands out as that much of an outlier, I'm going to at least go back to, a couple of years ago and try to pull up his best figure and use that instead. All right, with that said, I just wanted to make sure I touched on that. So let's take a look at our main columns here. And we'll start with, let's make this a little bit larger here. We'll start with our variable number 1. And we have the 2 horse. It's a tight race here between the 2, the 7, and the 4. So they're going to be our 3 that we identify in that column. Variable number 2 is also going to go to the 7 horse. So even despite not using that 93 and 89, it still fared pretty well here in the variable 1 and variable 2 columns. This should be a blue as top, and then these 2 here are follow-ups. Now let's look at the adjusted figures. When I look at the adjusted figures from the last 3, the 4 horse, the one we were talking about before, surprisingly finishes on top here. So again, that was the one that was 20-1 morning line. We identified as a slight class drop and also the possible pace setter in this race. And then following that is the 1 horse. And we'll give both of these, since they're only a half a point difference. And then we go over here to average of the last 3. We have the 1 and the 2. Taking the top spot, and the 4 showing up again, second spot. And then finally, let's look at our early speed. We have 3 horses tied with the 103. Actually, 2 horses tied. And then the 4 horses, the 3rd identified. And then finally, the late speed factor goes to the 3 horse at 98. And then we have a 97 here on the 2. And then we'll go one more. We'll go with a 1 horse with a 94. Now, when we look at our final totals here, our 2 horse is actually standing out as our top point getter, total point getter, 558, followed by, once again, our 4 horse. So that's kind of enticing there, knowing that that 4 horse that is sitting there at 20-1 morning line, and he's getting that much love, if you want to call it, on this on my grid here. And then we have 538, and then we'll go. Actually, we have 539 as well. So right there, there's our picture we have to look at. Now it's kind of all over the place. So now when I have a situation like this, I'm going to look over here and I'm going to see, okay, what kind of qualitative factors can I add to this grid? I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to toss the 5 right away. All right, so I'm going to take the 5 out simply because, again, he doesn't. We have enough going on here that I don't need to find a way to fit this 5 in, especially when he's one of many class droppers in this race, and that's the only thing I have for him over here. And I'm going to get rid of the 6 as well, all right, because he is finishing tops, tied for tops in one category, the early speed category, but there's a lot of pressure there as well. Okay, it's really close between all these. So we just made our lives a little bit easier by taking out those 2 horses, and now we have 5 horses. So really all I got to do now is decide which of these 5 do I not want to use, or if I want to, I could use excuse me, I could use all 5 of these in my exotics, but I want more concern about who am I going to use in front and who are going to be my win plays. Well, I look at that 4 horse. If that 4 horse is anywhere near probably where it's going to be, double-digit odds, high single digits, 8-1, 9-1, unless the public is seeing what I'm seeing here, that's definitely going to be a win bet for me. So we're going to go win 4. We're going to go try. We'll go our exacta. Let's keep that 4. I always like to keep some higher odd horses in the mix there for in my exactas. So let's go with the 2 and the 4 over top of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 in the exacta, and we'll do a trifecta as well. Got a bold column there. Try once again. We'll keep the 4 in there. We'll go 2-4 again. We'll go 2-4 over 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 as a try. Okay. So as we get closer to post time or when they're going in the gate, I do have to step out again. I shouldn't be more than 5 minutes. We have, if I check here, we still have enough time. When they're going in the gate, I will come back on. I'm going to pause the video now. Okay, welcome back, and we are here just in time as the horses are loading into the gate. I got back just in time from my errand, and we'll see what happens here. Well, it looks like the 6 jumped the lead. Oh, there goes the 4 rushing up. So what we want this 4 to get the lead. And I didn't want to show you his odds. Well, you're going to see them anyway. It's 22-1. Okay, so 4 was our win play. Now the 6 horse was one of our tosses here at 6-5. So right now, the way it looks, the best we could probably do, unless that 6 drops out, is get the win on the 4. Come on, 4. Hold on. It's going to be a duel between the 4 and the 6 here. Come on, 4. Oh, it doesn't look good. Oh, the 4, come on. Separating. Here comes the 1. Oh, we got it. It looks like 22-1. Looks like the 4 horse. Looks like it was a 4-1 finish there. Like a 4-1 finish. 4 got it. Camera showing the 4. So we have 20. We have an exacta at least. I don't think we used the 6 in the try. But we have a 4-1 exacta, which is going to pay nicely. And we had the, the $3 or $2 or whatever it would be to put on there on the 4 horse at 22-1. So we'll take a look when them payoffs come out, and we'll check it out. All right, well, payouts are in, and it was indeed a 4-1 finish. And we're looking at 136.50 exacta for that 4-1 exacta. Okay, so we did have a 4-1 exacta here. It's 136.50 for $1. Now, we did not have the try 4-1-6 because the figures let us down here when it came to the 6. But if we're looking at $214 for 50 cents. If we would have threw the 6 in there, or if I would have just threw all in there in the end, which probably would have been a wise thing to do, especially if we were playing them for 50 cents. But it's a 46.80 horse and a 4-1 exacta paying at 136.50 for $1. That's not too shabby, and that's the kind of hit you look for. maybe one that you might play 6, 7 races in a card and not hit one except for the maybe the last race such as this one or maybe one early that pays enough to make your day. Okay, so it's about the ROI. It's not about how many races you actually hit. You can go 6 out of 10 and finish $25 ahead, or you can go 1 for 8 and finish $200 ahead. And that's the kind of hits you're looking for right there. All right. I'll be back probably tomorrow with another race or two, and we'll continue with this. Till then, see you.